You are watching the #1 podcast in the whole entire YouTube wrestling community, and I'm your host Juanzo. This time, one more time, going again solo. We're going to be talking about Hardcore Justice today, family. Thank you for being with us. Thank you for giving us the opportunity to talk about wrestling with every single one of you, and welcome, the original Road Break. So we're going to be talking about Hardcore Justice 2021 preview for WrestleMania. It's night one is about to start. So we're going to be talking about everything that happened on Impact, because Impact decided to have a pay-per-view the same day that WrestleMania is going to be taking place for night one. So there you go, Impact. We're going to be talking about all this Hardcore Justice pay-per-view that, like I said, is more Tommy Dreamer being in charge. All of that, he put a lot of good matches. So they had this for us, and we're going to be talking about everything, family. Thank you for being with us one more time. Don't forget to check the rest of the videos that we have. We have the Smackdown review. Jean-Paul and myself, we were live yesterday. So we talk about Roman Reigns wants to be acknowledged at WrestleMania. Great promo war by him. Edge, an absolutely outstanding promo, talking about how Roman Reigns is a rated R Samoan, he's a bootleg or a copy from what Edge was when he debuted. Also Daniel Bryan talking about many times he's been saying no, but every time that somebody said no to him, he said yes, and he's gonna come out as Universal Champion at night 2 of WrestleMania. We're gonna see what happens on their family. Also, don't forget NXT UK Prelude. I just did review who can stop the historic reign of the Ring General Walter. He got that match with Rampage Brown. Extremely great show. Way better match than what we saw with Tommaso Ciampa and Walter on NXT Takeover Stand and Delivery. So please don't forget to check that out. Other matches, Meiko Satomura was in action, Kaylee Ray. Please be with us. Also, like I said before, don't forget to subscribe, hit that bell for notifications, let us know what we need to improve, what we're gonna see, what other promotions you want to see covering, family. So let's start the show, family. Hardcore Justice 2021 opened up with also action from the X Division, and this is a tag team opportunity, and this is TJP against Ace Austin and against Josh Alexander, but each one of them had to find their own partner. So in the case of TJP, he found Falapa. They were partners before, though they've been tagging for a few months, before, I want to say maybe last year they were mostly a tag. Ace Austin, of course, Madman Fulton, that's the guy that of course his insurance policy, so that's why he had. And then the mystery was Josh Alexander, who's he's gonna bring, and he ended up bringing Petey Williams. Petey Williams is a British wrestler. He came out from retirement, so that was really good, and he was also an Impact Originals. So they had a really good match. They actually, Josh Alexander and Petey Williams won the match. Petey looked really great in the ring. He looked like he didn't miss a bit. And thanks to a Canadian Destroyer onto TJP, and then another hold that Josh Alexander did more an ankle lock onto Ace Austin. So they win the match. Pretty great showing. I think that Josh Alexander and Ace Austin is gonna be the match that they're gonna have in Rebellion. So I'm really looking forward to that, and I'm really excited for that. But a really great start for what's gonna be Hardcore Justice. TJP is a great wrestler, but unfortunately he was already champion when he was on Maniac. He was Maniac, so then he had to take the mask and all of that. But I think the main feud right here is gonna be Ace Austin and Josh Alexander. So Ace Austin is he has he's a great heel character. A lot of people are behind him. So I think that's gonna be the match of Rebellion. I'm pretty sure that's what it's gonna be. So let's talk about to the next match, and this is Charlie Legal is gonna be against Shera and Hernandez. Hernandez, another guy that is originals from Impact. The days of LAX and the Mexican and all of that. And Shera, he's actually the partner of Raju. That was a former X Division champion. So they've been kind of getting into a feud, and it's nice to see Hernandez is still in the ring, still delivering. Great guy. Remember the days that he was really big on Impact a few years ago. It's pretty good, and the match was pretty intense, more physical than anything, because these guys are they are powered. They're super powerful, so they try to go at each other. Hernandez also dominating, trying to overpower Shera. Shera became again the policy insurance for Rahu. And they kept going. They used the chairs, you guys can see here, a big superplex that Shera did onto Hernandez. He was trying to get the upper hand. He was trying to win the match by that, but Hernandez will respond to the 3 count. And then Hernandez was did a big comeback, and he was trying to make sure that Shera will hit every single corner of the ring, and then he had a chair laying there. But out of nowhere, Rajid Raku will show up, and that was really cool because they actually were against each other. Shera and Rajid Raku had problems between each other, and Shera said, "I don't need you, I don't want to be with you anymore." But Rajid shows up, and actually he helps. He helps Shera, and he hits Hernandez with one of the chairs, and then Shera takes the advantage and then pins Hernandez 1, 2, 3, and you guys can see right there, Shera gets the win. So you see that Rajid Raku and Shera are finally back together. Like, I think that like it's better, because then that way they can both help each other out, and then maybe they can be a team. They can try to lobby for a tag team opportunity. So we'll see what happens on that, family. But pretty interesting showing from both men. And I think that like, well, like I said, like Rajiv Rahu was a great champion, you know, like the heel character that he has, he delivers, so it was pretty good to see them back together as a tag. This is the next segment, family, and this is like, oh, James Storm, Bravo, and Chris Sabin. Like, Chris Sabin and James Storm are actually a tag team now, just because, you know, like Alex Shelley has not been around Impact. I think he has a job like in the medical field, so that's why like he's exposed to a lot of people that have COVID, the virus, so that's why he actually rather like stay away from wrestling for the time being, till like maybe like it's better, and then that way he can come back and reinform the Motor City Machine Guns. So like for now, Chris Sabin is just tagging with James Storm, so they're actually in the illegal casino that like Johnny Swinger has. So like he was right there, and Matt Cardona shows up, and he was talking to Johnny. He's like, hey man, what are you gonna do? And all of a sudden Tommy Dreamer shows up, since he's the one in charge, so he's managing the whole show. So he says, you later on, you two are gonna have a match. That was cool, you know. Johnny Swinger is always funny, daddy, like all the mentions that he says. And Mark Cardona, Code of Silence, you know, we love the guy here. So the next match, family, is Doug Gallows, you know, from the Good Brothers against Black Taurus from Decay. You know, another big match, like they're having like feud against tags, and this is good because Decay is having like a lot of wins in pay-per-view. We're gonna see him in all these Impact Plus specials that we see, like they got a lot of wins, you know, under their belt. So now they're gonna feud against like, kind of say, the number one contenders of the tag team champions, because we know that like Juice Robinson and David Finlay are the tag champs. So we got to see this match, and another one that it was like more physical. Two guys that like are not gonna be like completely fast. They're not gonna have it like flips and dives, and then neither of that. Although like Black Taurus, following the steps of like his Mexican style, he had some good spots, like when it comes to aerial moves. Like for example, he had a 619 that we're gonna see in a little bit. But of course, you know, you're gonna see like big men in Luke Gallows. You're gonna see him like just like doing like chop, like, you know, uppercuts, all of those, like chops, like trying to get the upper hand by his strength. But like I mentioned here, family, right there, you guys can see like the 619 from Black Taurus, a pretty good match, you know. But like it was just like, I think like again, they're trying to feud the both of these teams to like see maybe later on after Rebellion, maybe Decay can have an opportunity for the tag titles. That it will be fun, because Crazy Steve and Black Taurus have been doing a really great job when it comes to that. So we're gonna see what happens on that. But in the end, you know, Luke Gallows did a big power bomb, like a really like isolating Black Taurus, and then he gets the 1-2-3 pin. And you know, the Good Brothers, they get the win. They gotta go hot, they gotta go with really hype, they gotta go good for what is gonna be the match at Rebellion. That is gonna be April 25th, so it's gonna be on a Sunday. They don't want to compete. Impact doesn't, it's kind of learning the lesson a little bit. They're just gonna go and compete against the UFC. They don't want to do that, so that's why they moved the date of the pay-per-view for the next day. So it's gonna be April 25th, is going to be on a Sunday. So like this is when they're going to have the tag team match with David Finlay and Juice Robinson. So that, of course, they need to get this win, so they start getting hot. They still are going strong when it comes to like the Good Brothers and their tag team opportunity. So family, you see Crazy Steve is really upset. He's not, you know, you see the feud is going to continue. So now it's going to be Carl Anderson is going to go in against Crazy Steve, and this is going to be a good match, because like guys that are the same size and they're pretty athletic, and also like they can have a lot of speed. So we're going to see that probably on Impact in one of the shows. And remember, family, Impact moved to Thursdays now, no more Tuesdays, because they don't want to compete against NXT, and it makes a lot of sense. So that's why they did it. So you see Crazy Steve is still upset because of like the defeat or the loss of Black Taurus. Family, let's go to the next segment. This is a great promo, Violent by Design. You know, these guys are like a really great staple, a really great group, you know, and Eric Young. You got to see Joe Diener right there. You got to see Rhino. You got to see also Diener. So you get to see all these guys. Joe Doran, like I mentioned, like all these guys are like in this goal. They have this mindset that they have to defeat everybody, and being violent, they gotta purify. That's the word that I like. They gotta purify the world from like this disease that they have, and everybody that stands in their way, they're gonna just suffer, and they're gonna go through everybody. So Eric Young is saying like, you know, all of you guys are like have the disease, especially Tommy Dreamer and all the guys that he's gonna pick for this match, and we are gonna like let him free from that disease. We're gonna you know, everybody's gonna worship us, because we're trying to do this for the sake of the world. So you see like you know, Eric Young has like a great character development. We saw that with this Violent by Design, how he converted like Diener, you know, how he got Joe Doran now and not Rhino. So like it looks like a really powerful group, and I love that. So like they had a really great promo. You know, Diener also mentioned it, how like he's gonna get the win for the team. Now they have the addition of Rhino. Is more muscle, because they have two muscles now, Joe Doran, Rhino, and now also like the guy, the talker, that can wrestle also in Eric Young, and kind of like the weakest link in every group. You have to have one, and that's going to be Diener. But great promo by them, just showcasing what they're going to do in this match that they're going to have main event in Hardcore Justice. So now we're going to go like this match with like Johnny Swinger and also Matt Cardona. Remember, Tommy Dreamer said this match, and Matt was just like, they had like crates in every single corner of the ring, and it was just like to signify like the career. It was like signifying the 90s. So it was a pretty decent match, more comical than anything. You got to see like Johnny Swinger open one of the crates or like the boxes, and then he found like a picture. Then he got in one of them, he opened the box, and then he saw a mousetrap. So it was just like to add a little bit of comicity, make it a little fun, and that's fine, Johnny Swinger like is a great more character than a wrestler, and then he found again this picture, as you guys can see, like the brass knuckles, so that made it okay. Like he was gonna attack Matt Cardona with that, so as soon as like he was ready to get that punch, he hit the Code of Silence, and that's his finisher right now from the WWE. The days, remember, that's the Rough Driver. So like of course he got the win. Matt Cardona is supposed to be hot. You want to hype him up with the match that he's gonna have against Brian Myers. Best friends, they have their podcast, they have the toy collections, like that's what they like to show, so like they have to hype them up. So like Matt Cardona, like he's a great wrestler. I think that like he was never given the opportunity in WWE, so that's why like here at least they're actually presenting him more serious, or at least better. He's gonna get some wins, so we'll see what happens at Rebellion. Maybe he can get like a win over Brian Myers, and then he can start lobbying for like either like the X Division Championship or maybe like the World Heavyweight Championship from Impact. So we'll see what happens, but a good win here for Matt Cardona. So now we're gonna see a promo by Sami Callihan, like the Death Machine. Of course, like this guy, like he's been feuding with Trey Miguel, so he comes out and he mentions that like he does whatever he wants, and he arrives this like new side on Trey Miguel. He awakened like the killer instinct that Trey Miguel needed, like the passion that he was lacking. So like he says like he can do that to every single person. He said like he can do that to anybody. Like he also mentions that like he does whatever he wants, and that's why he shows up at Hardcore Justice and he demands a match. So that's why like he's asking like to be like anybody in the back like to come out. So out there comes out like Sam Beal. He was one of the guys involved in this storyline with Trey Miguel, because he's the guy who was training at the school where Trey Miguel used to train. So like he comes out, and also like he's like responds to the challenge, and they had a pretty brief match just to showcase the ability of like Sami Callihan. Right there you can see like playing with the fingers, like the finger manipulation, all of that, the stuff that like Pete Dunne almost does. And like he got like a really good win right there. Like he hit like the package pile driver. Pretty good win, like I will say, from like Sami Callihan. He was really quick, and like right there you guys can see like how he hit like the package pile driver. Pretty good for Sami Callihan. You see like the intensity. This guy is one of the best heels in professional wrestling right now. Unfortunately, he hasn't been featuring like a significant and like a meaningful and like relevant feud. Like this, he had the alliance with Ken Shamrock. He had the matches with Eddie Edwards that they were good. In a Hard to Kill, we got to see all of those. But right now, I think that he needs to lobby for another opportunity for a championship, either as the X Division or like the Unified World Heavyweight Impact Championship. So now let's go to the next match, family. Brian Myers against Jake Something, and this was like a blindfold match. They always do these matches. They like to put like his more stipulations because again, Hardcore Justice. Tommy Dreamer is the guy that does this kind of like matches when he does his events. So this match was okay. Kind of showcasing like the blindfolds. Like there was not a lot of wrestling. The guys kind of roam around because like of course they cannot see. They will have these ones where they will try to grab each other. So you got to see Brian Myers like getting the upper hand of Jake Something for most of the match. Like he was trying to, right here, like he actually removed the blindfold. So like he go hit a super kick right there onto what it was, Jake Something, and then you got to see, hey, well, I'm cheating. I'm the best wrestler. I'm the best professional wrestler right here. So you see Brian Myers being a heel, really cool. And then like we got to see Matt Cardona, and then he actually had kept in his match with Johnny Swinger, he kept one of like the boxes, and so he comes out with one of them. And this is the part that Jean Paul is gonna love, so I want to shout him out because he actually comes out and then he does this. He distracts, of course, like Brian Myers, and then there was a lot of action figures right there. So he opened the box, and of course that's what like it came out. And then Jake Something did like this sidewalk slam that he loves to do, a really great move that kind of like remember in the Big Bossman's days. So he hits that, he gets the 1, 2, 3 count, and Jake Something wins the match. And as you guys can see right there, this is kind of like the breakthrough superstars that Impact has right now. This guy, if pushed really well, he can become like a great baby face, maybe go feuding with Moose, one of those big guys. Maybe, he's going to Hernandez, he can go to one of those big guys, maybe Joe Doran. That will be another great matchup for what's going to be Jake Something. So I really think that like it was a pretty good match and a good winner. So like right here you got to see for Jean Paul right there is like the action figure. So like that was like what it was like inside of that container in that box. So pretty good. Like, so let's move to like the next spot or the next segment of the match, and this was like Tommy Dreamer. He had chosen these 3 guys to be his partners, where it's going to be the main event against Violent by Design. And you guys can see Eddie Edwards, Willie Mack, and also like the Unified Impact Champion Rick Swann. So you got a promo, you know, like Rick Swann says that like he's concentrated, he's focused on the match that he's going to have with Kenny Omega, but that's going to be in like a few more weeks. So now he has to focus on the now, and then now is Violent by Design. And like anybody that goes against Tommy Dreamer goes against Rick Swann. So we're going to see what happens. So a lot of intensity from this guy. Finally, now let's go to like the number 1 contenders for the Knockouts Championship, and this was going to be a weapons match. So we get to see Jordan Grace, we got to see Susan, Tenille, Dashwood, we got to see Havoc, Rosemary, and Alicia. So this was going to be pretty good. Like most girls in the women division or the Knockouts division were out, so we got to see like the strength in Tenille. Like her contract is about to expire in May, so we'll see what happens with Jordan. A lot of people are saying that she might move to the WWE, or I don't know, she has resigned yet. So as soon as we know, we're gonna let you know, family. And instead of Susan, you know, like she was coming out to the ring, but like they did this effect that they did in one of the shows before, and that's when like she just like you see a lot of smoke coming out, and then the music from like Su Yung start playing, and everybody's like, oh my god, what's gonna happen? So like they probably got like an extra like dress up as like Susan, and then they just move like with Su Yung, they just replace them. So Su Yung is the one that is gonna be taking part in the match. That was cool. I thought that she was gonna win, but like that didn't end up happening. But like you guys can see all the girls in the ring, and you know, a very like alliance like was trying to be formed with like Rosemary, with Havoc, and also with Su Yung, but that didn't last any long. That didn't like last 2 seconds, because right away Su Yung started attacking both of the girls. We got to see also Caleb with a K involved in the match. Then all the girls like took care of him. Pretty good match, you know, decent showing for all the girls. Like they used the toys right there. You got to see Rosemary get the thumbtacks, but like instead of like using it in the ring, she went outside for that. And Alicia was the one that like used it on Rosemary, so like that will take both girls out of the match. It was like I said, like pretty everybody got their spots in. You know, this type of matches, I don't think that like they're meant to be like the ones that steal the show. It's just to add, you know, toys is for like more like the theme of what the pay-per-view is going to be, or like the show. So that's why they did that. And then you got to see like Nivea has been feuding with Havoc now, because they were a team. Nivea like got tired of losing all the time, so that's why she just decided to turn into Havoc, and now this time like causes her the match one more time. She comes out and then she throws powder at her, so that will like, you know, disoriented her. And then Jordan Grace got the upper hand on that. She's about to win the match. She hits like the Bader bomb, but then like you got to see Caleb with a K show up, and then he delivers a super kick onto Jordan Grace. And then, you know, you see like Havoc was already ready for the pin, and you got to see Tenille just shows up out of nowhere. She covers Havoc 1, 2, 3, and Tenille gets the win, so she becomes the number 1 contender for the Knockouts division. So this, I think that the way it's been done is okay. Why? Many people will say, why Juan? What is this like? What is Juan? So why is this like the right thing to do? Because again, Tenille has a lot of name value. She's not the greatest wrestler, she's not the bad wrestler, but I feel that like because, you know, the name value that she has, and now you're finally giving me like a good program. Because, you know, before everything that she's been doing is more like tag, it's more like nothing that really is relevant for her. So now at least she's gonna have a match potentially with Deonna Purrazzo. We'll see what happens. A lot of people know that Kylie Ray, she's coming back to wrestling. She returned and she's still under contract with Impact. So we'll see what happens. But Tenille is the one that like is gonna be like the number 1 contender for whoever comes out of this match. As you guys can see, this was like the match that we have right there also in the template. And this is Deonna Purrazzo against Jazz for like the Knockouts Championship, and also career involved into this, because if Jazz loses, she will be, you know, her career will be over. She will be leaving wrestling for good. So like these two girls gave us a pretty decent showing, not unlike the matches that we're used to see Deonna Purrazzo and Jazz. You know, the age gap, all of those things are like, you know, limitants for what they can do. But outside of that, it was pretty good. You know, like of course you see Deonna Purrazzo seeing like her technical ability, trying to isolate like the arms, trying to work on those, trying to create like those kind of moments like for like injure them, weaken the arm, so when it comes the time for like the armbar, she will be ready to do so. But Jazz also had like a lot of offense, so that was good. She also like gave us like a pretty decent showing, like I said. And you got to see like right there, she hit like the X Factor, going to the X-Pac, or the 6 days. She did that, like she go for a near fall right there. And also she used the chairs, because again, in this pay-per-view, every single like a match was like no disqualification, so they could use the chairs. Deonna sold for her, that was also good. I really like that. And then she did here, like she did the jobs that she does. She did a DDT, and then she said like she was trying to pay homage to Tommy Dreamer. That was a near fall. And then after that, then Deonna went for like the pile driver or the Cosa Nostra. That's one of the finishers that she has. 1, 2, 3, Deonna Purrazzo still the Knockouts champion. And the career of Jazz, unfortunately, like Matt Striker, D'Lo Brown, they were saying, is over. We were like really sad, we're like to see her go, but I feel that, you know, is the right thing to do. She had a great run right here in Impact. At least they were able to recognize all the contributions that she's had, and you know, in her career, WWE, Impact, also like independent promotions. She has inspired a lot of women right here. So Jordan Grace came out, she hugged her. They were tag teams towards the end of like this run, and you know, right there, all the damage. And like the one line that I really love from like Matt Striker, she said that on behalf of every single fan of professional wrestling, thank you, Jazz, for everything you do. Now you can go back to your family, your kids, your husband, because your job is done. So Deonna stays the champion, and you got to see Jazz. At least they did the right thing for her. You know, WWE, even in an interview, she said, no one has ever contacted me. So we'll see what happens on this. Maybe she's going to go to like the producer section of the things, of how to produce the show, or maybe she's going to become a trainer. We'll see what happens with Jazz, but this was a pretty good showing for both. Deonna is like the one champion that like every single special pay-per-view that Impact has, she's always defending that belt. So now the next challenge for her is going to be Tenille. So now let's go to the main event, family. It was, like I said, revealed. Violent by Design, Diener, Joe Doring, Rhino, Eric Young against Tommy Dreamer, Willie Mack, also Eddie Edwards, and the Impact champion Rick Swann. But let's go with the ruling of this match. Like you said, 2 men start alone the match for 5 minutes. Every 2 minutes, a new man enters for the alternating teams. The match cannot end until all the men have started, so you got to see no disqualifications. So now the match, instead of being Tommy Dreamer, the one that actually fought the match, like he was actually injured backstage in the segment, you guys can see right there, and like Scott D'Amore come out and he's like, you guys have to come out, the show is on. He's like, but and then the doctor will say, well, Tommy's not clear to wrestle. So like that was the disadvantage. They were like, who's gonna be the replacement of this guy, because it was supposed to be Tommy Dreamer. So we're gonna find out in just a little bit. But the first 2 guys that opened the show was Eddie Edwards and also like Diener, so they have a pretty good match between the two each other. So then the next one that will come out from Violent by Design, it was like Rhino, so you see like the disadvantage, so the 2 of them will be teaming up against Eddie Edwards, but then Willie Mack will come out and even the numbers. Willie Mack also a great showing, you know, a former X Division champion. I like the stuff that he does. He's a pretty good wrestler. Eddie Edwards also is great. You know, the only thing that I have against him is just the ring attire, but that's fine. And then we got to see Joe Doring. Joe Doring came out also, and then Trey Miguel. Trey Miguel will be the guy actually that will be the one that be like the surprise entrance to replace Tommy Dreamer. We got to see also Rick Swann coming out, so like you got to see all the guys finally in the match. Eric Young, like, he was supposed to be injured, but it seems like the injury was a minor one. It was revealed that it was actually going to be way worse than what it was thought, because he actually fought the match. He didn't do like a lot of big moves, but like he was actually in the match, so I was really surprised to see that. Or maybe they taped this, you know, way before like the injury was revealed. Well, I don't know how they did that, but it seems like the case that like Eric Young is actually cleared to wrestle, so that was good. Of course, they did the big spots. They used all the toys, they used candlesticks, they used the chairs, all of that was involved. They did like a triple superplex, so that was really cool. And you got to see right there that they paint for Eric Young, so like good showing. And in this case, this match was meant to what? To do, so solidify what Violent by Design is. You know, they're a really great group, but they need that much of a win. They did a caliber win like this. They need a meaningful win, a significant win. Why? Because now I can actually say we're ready to dominate Impact. So that's what they did, because, you know, in the end, right there, you guys can see more like the tables. You got to see more destruction, more all the guys doing everything. Trey Miguel, a pretty good showing also. I'm kind of like the Trey Miguel just like didn't sign for WWE, because I think that they have a lot of stocks invested in him and Impact, and I think that by the end of the year, Trey Miguel is going to be a world champion. I can really assure you that, because if they went with the route of Rick Swann, they don't care about the size of the guy. They care about the charisma, the identity, and also what they can give in the ring. So that's why they did it. But in the end, you got to see Eric Young right there applying like the pile driver, of course, like his devastating move onto like Willie Mack, and then he will get the win for Violent by Design. And then you see this guy standing tall right here. This is the group that is supposed to dominate Impact for the time being. And I think that like once Kenny Omega is done with like Rick Swann, we'll see who gets the title. This guy should, like, either one of them should be applying for that title, should lobby for that title opportunity, especially Eric Young, because he was already a former Impact champion. So we will see what happens, but like these guys are solidifying, like, you know, Impact, and I'm making this division better. I'm making like this show better, because it's just a serious group. It's what the Hurt Business was doing for Monday Night Raw, but of course Vince McMahon decided to split him up. Here I don't think that they're going to do that, because every single member makes sense. And you have the talker, you have like pretty much the mentor, the messiah in Eric Young. You have the guy that gets the pin, that is going to be Diener. You have the muscle in, you know, Joe Doring, and you have like Rhino that can be in between both. You know, he did a gore and, you know, for a near fall. So you guys see, like, this was a pretty good show. I want to say, like, you know, it was just like the only thing, don't have it right next to WrestleMania. let us rest a little bit, let us enjoy like the preview for Mania, let us like get, you know, food, let us get everything, because like, oh, shows back to back is like, can we live? Can we actually do something else? No, but like I think this show, like at least it get us ready for it's gonna be Rebellion. One more time, I gotta repeat that. It's gonna be on April 25th. It's gonna be on a Sunday because they don't want to go against the UFC. So family, right here you have the review for what it was Hardcore Justice 2021. Again, you know, a good effort from Impact Plus, or what Impact does. They always remind us that they're there. You know, they're there. Like when it's like, oh, we just don't put shows every 3 months, 4 months. We're there every single month to give you something, family. So don't forget tonight, you know, in like what is gonna be like 2 hours or so, it's gonna be WrestleMania review night 1. Everything that's going to be happening, they say that like the show is going to be going on because like before, like they were saying that they might have it delayed because there's going to be a lot of storms and when it's going to be Tampa, Florida, but we'll see. So don't forget, WrestleMania Night 1 review, Jean Paul and myself talking about every single thing that it's happened right there. So I'm your host Juan, thank you so very much, and don't forget, subscribe, hit the bell for notifications, also the social media, and I'll see you guys for a WrestleMania review Night 1, and I'll say bye to you by saying